So today is the last day I'm going to be playing before the twist resets, and it does seem like it'll be a monthly thing every time. I thought this time it might just be that because they introduced it like in the middle of an expansion, which would have been weird to do it like that. But the fact of the matter is, I think it says that even on the tooltip, just that it will be a monthly format. And so the problem is that I would have liked to have tried to get to Legend in that, but it's not. First of all, it's not a new format because it's classic anyway, but just in principle, it's different than what you're going to be able to play ever in the future. So you'll never be able to go back, or maybe there'll be some way, but why they wouldn't just let you do all these mods at any time, all the time, is beyond me because, oh, it'll split the community, but it would only split it in a good way because they'd be doing. And today has been a cursed day. I got interrupted in the morning. That's just more for IRL stuff. But now this crashes immediately. It might be the first time we ever had two part twos of the same thing. Like I'll put like a little Roman numerals to show like this is how many times it's crashed. So it's like I'll put my title, but then it's the second time I'm doing it. So let's see if it makes it a third. I love how it does it right away too. And it only happens when I'm playing like a card game or chess or something. It won't happen when I'm playing something higher end or whatever else I'm doing. Like even yesterday, Frostpunk, or could be any other game. Overwatch, thankfully it doesn't at least. Yeah, I wouldn't have made a push for Legend in this, obviously. I didn't even think about it, but it's unfortunate because I always like to get it in every mode, and you might say, oh, this is a classic, so it doesn't count any differently. But when you only have a month to do it, it's going to be different every time. So different expansions can be used every month. I wish, or is it going to be the same mode, but it seems like it might just be a different thing altogether. Oh, maybe that's what it means. It'll still be the same format, but it'll just be with different cards, which makes the thing you buy off the shop, assuming you would, a complete jip because, oh, you'll pay 3,000 gold for something that you can only use for a month. Of course, you could use it in Wild, but it wouldn't matter really. Right, you could have done that all along. I have to admit, that's at least something I didn't try to do, but it is almost the sort of idea I would think about, like, what if you just try to use only class cards in a deck? Like, it's a pretty fun thing. So one of these times they're going to add a Death Knight to the 100 thing, and then that season I'll make a point to try to get to level 100, which arguably I've gotten reasonably far in some of these, but I've just never gotten to level 100. I've never really cared to do that either. Yeah, you'd be like, oh, why does it matter? If first of all, it's classic, and like when Wild first came out, I didn't get it right away, and then it just took me until like last year to ever try to do that. But the difference with that is you knew it was going to be around for a while. With this one, you might never have the chance again, so it does make me feel like I'm missing out. It would have been fun to try that, right, just to get to Legend in what is basically a new format. So I just didn't have the time to even attempt it, so I obviously didn't even bother. I got to what, like Silver. The Sun King's Rage echoes through the tavern, empowering spellcasters of all kind. So what was I doing? Basically just the underappreciated class round robin. And the Demon Hunter has been pretty impressive, all things considered. We'll just go until we lose, I guess, on all three. Although we let the Priest have a chance to shine as well. But yeah, we're trying to make a point of doing underplayed classes too. It's a round robin in the sense that I play with one until I lose, and then at least I rotate. But also just, I got to play Priest and I got to play Rogue. Those are like my two least played classes ever. And even in playing Priest a little bit, I'm kind of realizing why. Although this one's not so bad. It is almost like a mid-range style deck. But no, that is kind of sad. Like, if you didn't get it this month, you'll never be able to do it in this exact format to see how far you can get and stuff. That you don't really want to start with. I always look at this, and it doesn't seem like that impressive of a deck, but it's the exact same as it is in Standard. You would think it should be really good. It's just you're missing only like 2 cards, which that dragon is really not good for this purpose, but Reg, draw a card. I don't know what that card back is. I hate the ones where they have stuff coming off the side, though. You could do this for the Outcast purpose. Deal 1 damage, Mana Thirst, doesn't matter. Give your heroes +3 attack. You almost should just do that. Next Outcast card costs 1 less. Or wait. Or no, it doesn't. It was just cover 2 concoctions. What you're missing is that 2 damage spell chick, the elf, and then you're also missing the discover an Outcast card. Your next one costs 1 less. This you don't really even want. There's nothing really too good in this hand. Okay, this you just kind of have to do anyway. Silence an enemy minion, draw a card, copy the lowest cost demon in your hand, give both outcasts +1/+1. Or that's interesting because you're not going to have anything to get from those. Silence a minion, like this is just kind of a waste. Use a card to shuffle into your deck. I don't really even see the point of that, but I guess I don't really need 2 of those. And it strategically gives me just the correct one too. Right, the one that isn't going to be outcast. Although it's not hard to get stuff to be outcast when you just keep spam playing it. But this should be easily Legend Caliber here, because think about the logic behind it. How could the meta be that different that this wouldn't be good if it's good even against all the current decks right now? Or at least it was Legend Caliber like last month, as recently as that. So how could it be that against class only decks that it would be any worse? That there's no upside to that. Right, you could theoretically do that anyway, but silence an enemy minion. Do 1 damage to all enemies is good. But even the rush often goes to waste, but sometimes people just can't deal with it. It seems utterly ridiculous that you... This is almost like a troll deck. This is literally something I would make. Like, oh, haha, I'm going to make a deck without any minions. This almost puts me to shame. Like, was this really intended by the game? Or I guess it was, because like the scythe and stuff is there, and there's a lot of effects that reward you for not having minions, but it just seems such a hard commit to a concept that's probably not that good. In a way, it's kind of good deck design, but maybe a bit contrived because they have too many cards that support it. But then again, I even commented that before too. There aren't that many cards that mention not having minions, so it's such a weird idea. You could do that, but I don't really want to. Silence. Let's just do this. You can certainly clear the board here too. I don't really need the Naga damage. I feel like the silence could come into play if they do summon like a taunt or whatever. Which ones can hit face? All those are gonna only have rush. I mean, I arguably shouldn't do that, but I'm expecting some sort of board clear, fan of knives type nonsense, so let me just see if they added a new Death Knight hero, actually. But, you know, I was trying it with, like, some other... I'm impressed by my own deck as I'm even bashing it. But no, I was trying it, like, with other classes, too. In fact, I might even just do that. What if I play as that Warlock deck? I was trying the Imp one. There's so many things I would want to try in this format, but I just can't. Wait, 13? What did they do? Wait, what are these even from now? Obviously, that we can get, that we missed out on. Obtained by purchasing in the shop. Frostbringer Arthas.
The iron hymn rises again.
That's like from pre-ordering the thing. Her legend hasn't unfolded yet, but just you wade. Titan's Tavern Pass. Okay, that'll be later. Obtainable after participating in a special event. I don't know what any of this stuff is, but I assume you can't get it now. Frostbringer Arthas. How would you get that? It wasn't just in the shop. Once unlocked and selected for use, Frostbringer replaces the Lich King, obviously. Added 725. That's weird. I didn't see it. Or if you can buy it, then it should just show you from there. Or it would just be like part of the thing somehow. Huh. I don't even see it. It's not like I really want it, but I was doing that Death Knight Completionist Challenge, but I guess I failed because I couldn't get the Psy guy, so then I had to delete my whole collection as basically punishment for that. So let's just go on a crazy streak and get there with this deck, which you could theoretically do in a reasonably short amount of time because it's just so... It's such a fast-paced thing. Even if you lose, it'll be over quick.
I will fight with honor. This ends now.
Deal 2. Draw a card. I don't really want that. 3 to the lowest health enemy. Deal 2. I think I arguably don't want those, but Of course, I don't even know what sort of decks I'm playing against, but they're obviously just going to be subpar. They're going to be almost as bad as the decks I normally use in Wild anyway. Just some gimmick-themed stuff, but this is a very good gimmick. And even the Death Knight one with the eggs is a pretty fun gimmick, but unfortunately I can't use the eggs there. I almost want to try some of those other classes that I was saying, but unfortunately you can't use a lot of the fun cards I had in mind, like, that might be worth it for Finale, despite how stupid that seems. Deal 1 damage, give a minion rush, deal 2. I don't know. I mean, that's easy to do because of Finale, because you just don't have any requirement for it if you're already out of mana. Yeah, because that's really why I was doing it, to get rid of that nasty Divine Shield. Sometimes it feels like you just have dead turns in the beginning, which is weird for a deck that doesn't have like a high curve to it. On the contrary, your highest cost card is 4. But no, like you couldn't use Explore on Goro or Zinazari, at least I don't think, or you couldn't use a Renounced Darkness and all this kind of other stuff. And the reason why is because they made the mistake of dealing with the expansions. It should just be, you can use any class card from any expansion and just make with it what you will. But instead, you couldn't use something you could use in Wild here, but you could use something in here that you could use in Wild, obviously, because it could be anything. But so even if people were doing that class-based thing, then like if they were playing the same class-based thing in Wild, it would still be different because of the format. You'd have to restrict yourself from only Ashes of Outland. Lowest health enemy twice, deal 3 damage to all minions. I mean, a lot of this is meant for having the spell damage anyway, so maybe I should have put the Kobold Geomancer in here instead of the 2 spell damage chick, or there might be somebody else with 2 spell damage anyway. But instead I put that random dragon and some stupid stuff. I think the other one that I had to replace was Abusive Sergeant, which is maybe not the most valuable thing in the world, but I just always underestimate these aggro decks because I feel like they'll burn out and it's not that hard to heal through them and stuff, but I guess not everybody is going to play like that. Deal 3, I mean, it's not really even worth it. Card draw is kind of important. I could coin that, draw a whole bunch of stuff. I just have to summon something, dude. Not a minion, deal 3 damage to the lowest health enemy. So much of this is going to get sucked up by the board, though, is the problem. Or in a sense, some of these cards are the perfect example of power creep, despite the condition you have to reach. It's like, you know, you have to... Okay, that's not that good on its own yet. Due to the lowest health, that would actually be pretty ideal for dealing with this guy. The Steno chick is very important. Or you know what you could do? You would hit it twice, but you wouldn't hit it a third time. But this is where you're just meant to sort of spam spells anyway. Or no, oh, of course. The fact that I give it +1/+1 means that it will kill it. In addition, the problem is it's obviously going to get removed. If he doesn't kill it, then he's screwed. This is supposed to be your OTK combo. Just play a bunch of spells and let her spam your face, but they did nerf it from a 2 attack to a 1 attack, so I don't think I even ever used it when it was 2 attack. Whenever I start to use something or give it a try, especially when it's meta, it'll be like right after, just out of a sense of honor, surely. It'll be right after it gets nerfed. Like I wasn't playing any meta decks for a super long time, then I'm like, oh, let me try this one. Or what was the other one? Like one of the Death Knight decks, and they nerfed like the Unholy. They nerfed the I can't remember. The Necromancer and some other card. Let's think about it. We can do this, and we can do the Eye Beam as well. Or no, you know what? You shouldn't have done that because I should have spammed more spells because he was stupid enough not to destroy this. I mean, imagine not being able to kill her. Like, that's the only best win condition type card that I have in my whole deck. What else would you be using a removal on? But I guess you still can't do it. Okay, so we can spam spells on this now. But the problem is she'll automatically attack it too, which I don't want her to do, even though it's still fine. You can do 2/4 plus that. Deal 3, deal 2. This is kind of a satisfying thing just to see her keep doing that. And 0 if you played a Naga while holding this. Deal 3, give me another spell as well. Look at how insane that can just be. But it's utterly ridiculous that you just wouldn't get rid of her. Or wait, made it seem like I could attack again. Or maybe I thought I attacked just because she was doing it at the same time. Or imagine if I lose because of that, but of course I won't. This was one of the ones I replaced it with too. Just because, you know, instead of Abusive Sergeant, we put in this guy who got actually buffed. I think he was a 3/4 before. And then we obviously put in the dragon instead of the 2 spell power chick, but I don't think I even got very good use out of her most of the time. But that dragon is kind of garbage because you're not going to want the game to go on long enough to be able to play it anyway. You got to commit so hard to aggro that you just don't even worry. If it gets past turn 5, what are you going to do against this and this? Oh, you just lose. Just resign. Like, you play for the best case scenario, not the worst case scenario. Or to minimize the possibility of a worst case scenario. This is kind of garbage to have. You don't really even want to start with that. You arguably, yeah, like, what are you bothering with that? So Outcast, summon one more. Depends what else I get there. I feel like I've rarely gotten value out of this card, honestly. If you played a Naga while holding this, but the only Naga you're going to play is her, so that's part of the whole finish your card aspect. Let's try to get to gold, or basically I'll just go until I lose, and maybe I'll try some other funky class too. So, I mean, it is the highest priority to get her, but sometimes Kane has won me the game just with respect to, you know, they summon the 2 taunts that can't be targeted, the mage spell, 2 taunts that can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, my favorite mechanic ever in the history of the game, and then it just ends up. Now, should I really trade into that? I feel like I shouldn't. This will be finale. Give your hero 2 attacks, summon 3. I kind of like this in a way, but it doesn't seem like it'll actually come into play at all. 1 less whenever friendly minion dies. Because again, I just said play for the best case scenario. It shouldn't even get to turn 7 at all. Now this is kind of good because you get to do that. So even though I just said I normally don't get value for it. Wait, I thought it did 3. Never mind. I still miscalculated. Or maybe that's why it was relevant in standard, because you had her with 2 attack, but even after that I think it was still pretty good. You certainly can't be picky in this mode. Honestly, we may as well just do this because it doesn't have any other special effect to it. Just go face. Yeah, if you have a really control type deck that's going to be a little bit slow and have a lot of healing and whatnot, especially priest, it would be very difficult to deal with. 5, deal damage to his neighbors. We shouldn't do it to each of his neighbors, though. I thought it worked like it would deal the excess total, like 2 and 2 or something. Okay, that you could do. That's not going to be good. Your next one costs 1 less. Give your hero +3 attack this turn. Deal 1 damage to all enemies. Draw 3 cards. Reduce their cost by 3, which almost doesn't even matter. Or actually, it would matter because since everything costs so little anyway, it would be fine. This will only do 2. You may as well just ignore it and go face. Even though that probably is stupid. End of your turn, cast a spell that costs 3 or less. It could be an AoE that clears my board. Or he already has it. This is actually kind of cool for all intents and purposes because your deck is so low cost anyway. As much as I'm doing it just for the sake of it.
For warlock.
What? Oh, if itself is outcast, my bad. I don't think I've ever used that card before. That was kind of a stupid time to play it. I'm gonna lose despite this deck being so good, just because I'm a clown. I'm surprised I'm not seeing anybody actually using it either. It's just the most intuitive one out of whatever I was using anyway, because of the simple fact that kind of just spamming everything. Not going to be finale, or it could be still. Metamorphosis, deal 4 damage after 2 turns, swap it back. Summon a friendly demon that died this game. Infuse, like I'm trying to do all these kind of interesting cards and interactions that otherwise, you know, are not very good for the purpose of this deck. And I'm gonna end up losing because of it. Okay, he has a lot of AoE, which I'm not surprised by. In fact, I'm usually surprised by how people don't have that. Yeah, and they're gonna be such high value ones too, after all. Now, what can we get from that? Like Kane, Sun Fury. Be good as a finisher play against whatever kind of taunts and shenanigans they might do. Cover minion. Deal health to the lowest enemy. Draw a card. That almost wasn't worth it. You don't want the game to drag out to this stage is basically the point, but you could play all 9 mana, hit him for 4, but he's staying alive pretty well. Might be difficult. Obviously didn't play it exactly right, but it should be fine. Summon 2 1/1 demons, give your thing +3 attack. Your next outcast card costs 1 less, which even would be itself. We should just go face and hope he can't do anything about it. Or you may as well get rid of that. Now this, you get some kind of card draw benefit, which is only a 1. Play an outcast card while equipped. Oh yeah, I always forget about that. Yeah, you should have to have it equipped. It's not like infuse out of your hand. For 2 random enemy minions, okay, fine. Am I really gonna lose this one? If I do, I'll go play some other fun type decks. It doesn't just have to be this one. But the problem is, like I said, they wouldn't let me use Iron Juggernaut or whatever. Like the Warlock one is basically what I wanted to try. Not a minion, deal 3. Draw 2 cards. That is pretty clutch. Too late for the dragon thing though now, but I have no choice. I don't see in what scenario that's really going to be so good anyway. Deal 4. I guess just because that guy's buffed, it could be okay. 0. Pointless. You would never expect that I have the dragon, but it still wouldn't get value unless you still summon a bunch of stuff. So if you are going to get it, you should get it super early. So there might be certain meta matchups that sort of fill that need in. He's like your mid-range finisher. Not that you want to play like that anyway. Steno is like your late-game finisher. Not that you want it to really be late game. And then the other guy, Kane, is like almost an early-game finisher. If they just summon a taunt. But it is kind of flexible. That did actually win me a game that didn't seem like I was going to win. And it's not even like a top deck, because you could just top deck one of the spirit cards that lets you summon them, discover them. So even though it costs 1 mana extra, it's like you're getting a free choice of any of them all the time. So you have a 30% chance to draw them at any time. Or I mean a 10% chance even with a full deck. I've been using that Lilith card back for a little bit too long. I mean, I could just do it, period, but let's see if I can't summon a bunch of minions first to try to make something happen. Or I could give him Rush anyway.
I see.
Okay, that's not bad. Deal 4. Deal 1. Give that a buff. Or wait. Whoops. Give your hero +3 attack is okay. Choose 1. Wait, what is it even doing? You're gonna be like, oh shit. Maybe that's not what I should have done. You go face. Go here with like 3 things, which arguably isn't even worth doing. There are some times where you really just shouldn't do that. He's pretty low. I kind of just cucked the dragon though. That would have been the perfect time actually to keep it. We're gonna get it right back, but then we'll have no minions left to give it. So we're gonna get in fatigue mode with an aggro deck. How does that happen? Yeah, I wouldn't even want to use the Feast of Souls thing. Give your hero +2 attack. I should just win. And even when I doubt it, and even when I deliberately play like a clown just because I'm trying to switch classes, we'll go all the way to Legend here right now, but I won't even play for long enough for that to be a possibility. Play 12 weapons for Festivals of Legends. I don't know what you get really from that thing. But yeah, I couldn't even figure out, like, how do you get the one guy from the shop? Like, what does it even mean? It must be from here somehow. 1 random signature card, 1 random legendary card. Ing Death Knight hero, but then where's the other guy? It must not be out yet, even though it said on the wiki it was. I'm not gonna buy it anyway, but they should always let you buy these things with gold in some form, like 8,000 runestones, but you can't earn runestones as far as I know from any other way. You'd have to buy them anyway, so what's the point? Like, at least in Magic, you can get those gems from doing arena, so you can buy a draft. You can buy into it with gold, and then you can get gems out of it, so it ends up being basically the same thing. Like, you might get your return if you do really well in the draft, but you'll get it in a different currency. You can save up that way and still get some seemingly pay to win or cosmetic type stuff.
Versus Tavish. I'll make my own fortune.
This ends now.
This I kind of just wasted the last time. Give it Rush, Finale +1/+1. He's not really even what I want. Surely I'm not going to throw on purpose just for some deck variety. But you know what? If it wins, it wins. Like, that one almost seemed like it could have been a loss, but just couldn't keep up with my insane amount of damage, I guess, and flooding the board with all these relentless 1/1s with no effect. Like, why is this so impressive? This is one that even as I'm using it, I still don't really believe that it's as good as it seems. Like, it seems like there's so many what ifs. What if they just have a ton of AoE? What if they have a ton of healing? What if they have a ton of taunts? If they have any of those components, you can bypass 1 or 2 of them, but not forever. Can't even tell what these card backs are just because of how they have that stupid vertical effect. He's just going to AFK out, or he knows what the matchup is going to be based on the scythe. Yeah, I don't think I've seen it one time, so... And it clearly is at least good enough to get through silver, so that means it must be good. That's the best way to measure it, right, for this mode. Use a deck that you're using in standard that's good anyway, like a Legend Caliber deck, and just look for the one that has the least number of... non-class cards, which again, this one only had 2. And it's not like it was made with this anything in mind. That's kind of a deck from a little bit ago where I think even before the nerf, or maybe even slightly after the nerf, So it was made to be as good as possible in the current meta in standard with all the new power creep cards and with everything else in mind. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like the best deck in the whole format, or it'd be something like this where it would have almost been a full class deck anyway. Okay, that is kind of stupid because you're never going to get it to be... Look at 3 cards in your opponent's hand, shuffle 1 of them into their deck. You should argue we just get the I-Beam or something cheaper, but... I don't think I've even played that dragon once, and I don't think it would have even been good. Hardly ever. We could do those two together. I'm not even too concerned about the board, but... Let's get the Steno Chick. Let's get this.
We'll just have a little peek.
What could be potentially bothersome? Wait, what? Oh, obviously because I played that. Whoops. I'm even sort of self-sabotaging. I just want to see N'Zoth. I got him because he was on the shop a little bit ago, but then I still haven't used him even once. That was one that I always wanted. And I was always so sad that, oh, you know, like I didn't want to pre-order whatever it was, the Old Gods expansion that would have, Dark Moon Fair or something, that would have given it to you. I didn't want to spend $80 in pre-order like how we see with Titans and stuff now. But I always still wanted him, and there was no other way to get him, so they just randomly put some of them on the shop, so you should always check. I guess there's not too many that I really care about, but okay, this we should just spam some stuff.
A watery grave awaits.
Deal 2 damage. Go hit the lowest health hero anyway, or thing. So I'm gonna 3/3 copy. Let's shuffle something in, so let's just get rid of Feast of Souls. I don't think that's gonna be relevant. Let's just do it for the heck of it. Hit you in the face. 3 cost is a new target, which we can just kill. It's just tempting to burn through your spells when you do have that out there, and you expect her to die immediately, so maybe I play her too early, but it's never too early because you're trying to end the game as quickly as possible anyway. Like, what other hero would be my most sought after one? N'Zoth is so badass because you don't even think of it as a warlock. It's literally an old god. I don't know if they have any of the other old gods. Maybe they're just super rare. With, you know, you could just do that with the Feast of... or whatever, Taste of Chaos. You could do like 4, 5, and then that. But let's do it like this. Discover a card, summon 2 3/3s with lifesteal. If your deck has no minion, summon another. I mean, it's rewarding me for my core mechanic. I can't really complain about it. You almost don't want to attack again, but I'll gladly just do it. We're going to lose to a hunter of all things. Mid-range / control or whatever he is. 3 3s with lifesteal, but they don't have rush, but we can give a rush. One of them. Finale isn't going to happen, unfortunately. What does it do? It summons 2 2/4s. I mean, it's just kind of an awkward numbered turn. Like, there was no clean way to deal with that. Or even do that just for the sake of it. Deal 1. Your opponent has 2 fewer mana crystals. Copy the lowest cost demon in your hand. This guy's enjoying himself. When your turn starts, if you control 2 minions, summon an animal companion. Just the pace of this is going pretty poorly. But we somehow managed to win these anyway, or he'll stupidly ignore my board and then let me hit him with Kane Sunfury, who nobody would expect me to have because that's not a meta card in any format. Yeah, this has one of the dumbest premises for an expansion, Festival of Legends, to a pretty cool premise, at least, in Titans. Like, that's the cool... Yeah, instead of the Titan MMO, or an expansion where you get to play as Titans yourself or whatever, that's basically what one of the next expansions in WoW will be anyway. You know, your hero is going to be so strong that that's what it'll be anyway. Go like that. Go like this. Give it +1/+1, but you won't be able to. That'll stay alive. You can kill this, kill this. Almost doesn't seem worth it to go there because he's going to have explosive trap or some nonsense. Let's at least force him to AoE it a bit. I just don't know what our win condition or playstyle here is, because if we don't kill him like right now, pretty much turn 10 is your failure state. If you don't win by turn 10, you should just give up. Like, somehow, some way, this has come out on top in so many of these tough matchups where it doesn't seem like you're going to win, but somehow you still do. If you kill that clown first. So hit me for 12. Let's just go face instead. And surely I'll have like a 1 damage AoE or whatever we normally look at. You control 2 minions, summon an animal companion, which is a pretty good one to do. With a mere 15 HP, what is he going to possibly do here? But he casts spell, deal damage equal to his cost to the enemy hero. It still shouldn't be lethal. It'll be 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18. I think I'm still alive, but that lifesteal would be pretty clutch. 2 1/1s. 4-2. And the point is, I didn't play that exactly right, but also it is a little bit of a tough deck to deal with. So you can't really judge it by that. Well, losing at silver 7, but I mean, every deck's gonna have bad matchups, and I don't know what state this meta is in, even because it's within a month. In a way, it's the best way you can do a format because it comes and goes so quickly that by the time people adjust and try to get it down to a science, it's already over. So the best possible decks you could make probably still are not discovered in this mode because there hasn't been enough time to try them, and nobody would try this normally in any other mode. And like I said, even if they did try it in Wild, they would still be in a case where basically you would be using other cards from the whole history of the game, not just from that part, like from Ashes of Outland. Let me try some other interesting deck idea. I'm trying to think of one that would be fun. You can't even use like the Galakron stuff, I don't think, right? Ashes of Outland is more recent than that. Galakron's arguably my favorite expansion, and the reason why is because it has all those elusive minions in there. That's like all it would take for me to appreciate that. Because for most of the history of the game, there were hardly none of them. And then that adds like probably the majority of them still in the game. It's almost like they alternate expansion ideas. They go from one of the worst ideas, or they go from a great idea in obviously the Lich King kind of keeping it on life support to all these other things like, wait, let's actually use N'Zoth. I was kind of saving him for this time. I just want to try it out. Let's see him. We can even use the card back too. I've been waiting a long time for this, actually. I was always so sad and complaining. I was like, you rarely see him. And so it was only like, wait. Oh no, it's somewhere in there. N'Zoth. You're beginning to dream of a glorious destiny. Spoilers, it involves calamari. Acquired by pre-purchasing Madness of the Dragon Fair or when available in the shop, which is completely random, but I'm glad I caught it. So even this is pretty badass. Little scales on the side, in the middle. Nice little coloration to the center, like it's almost like an eye, one of his eyes watching you. That part just looks ordinary. And then let's see, yeah, if there's anything else sexy in the shop, even though I just looked at it. Charges deal, 99 cents for 5 packs. Yeah, see, all these, they go to waste. Like, what would be the point of them exactly? US dollars, gold. Oh, you can buy them with money. I was gonna say, why does it even show that? So were people even using these kind of decks? It didn't really feel like it. Like, I wonder how valuable that would really be to do when the thing only lasts a month. Okay, so let's look at that, and then we'll look at N'Zoth, and then we'll play as like our Imp, Curse, whatever shenanigans deck. Just because it should be theoretically good in here anyway. Yeah, I got Mal'Ganis too, just because I love Warlock so much.
Join me, so that your true destiny might unfold.
Is it weird that I don't think of either of them as a Warlock? Like Mal'Ganis, sure, he kind of is, but he's also kind of just a demon, a dreadlord. He's going to melee you in Warcraft 3, right? They punch you with their fists and stuff. It's not entirely like they're just relying on abilities. It makes some sense. N'Zoth I don't think of as a Warlock at all. I mean, he's just an old god. They don't really fit into a specific category.
Join me.
Attainable
so
by
that your
purchasing in the
true
shop.
destiny-
I won't use that.
I can save you from what is to come.
Badass, you got like a whole raid encounter going on. When someone asks if you're an old god, you can now say yes. That's obvious from Ghostbusters. Get rid of this. This is gonna be sick. So which ones was I actually using in Twist? Probably only one of them. Oh, did I not even make the... I can't even remember what was what. As far as like... One of them is Curse and one of them is like the Imp deck. And that is like a hallmark moment. I waited years for that. I pretty much gave up hope that you'd ever be able to get it because I didn't know that it was the sort of thing they would put on the shop. It almost reduces the rarity of it. Like, why would you pre-order it for $80 if you just want the cosmetic when you could get it eventually randomly on the shop?
All eyes shall be open.
All right, let's keep all this, I guess. You don't really need that. But the point is that, or yeah, like when you're so badass that you're fighting a raid encounter while you're playing a card game too. He's on his phone during the raid boss that you're fighting him in WoW, playing Hearthstone too. He's doing with the whole fucking raid group there. I always liked Yogg's voice acting a lot, but he was almost too over the top. Like he was trying too hard, always laughing maniacally and stuff. Cthulhu was more low-key, but that could just be because he's in such a weakened state. In fact, that's an interesting way to think about it. Like, how would you know? I don't even think I'll spam the emotes. Maybe we'll save that for another day. I just wanted to look at him. He's beautiful. I don't think that there's a version that's not even gold like this. Not that I'll complain about that. Like, I wish I had the non-gold version now somehow. Or maybe they always look like this, but... That is so sick. And of course, we got the nice little card back too, which you can barely even see or appreciate. So this is me giving some more love to my Imp deck that was so good to me for a while. If I hit that, we can save the little portal thing for now. Bloodhound Imps can get you in trouble, as it did a number of times, because they'll make a point to not kill them, but that's kind of at their own peril too. Death Rattle store his soul inside of friendly minion secret. Friendly secret resummons when okay. 5 to all minions. I'm not gonna do that. Upgrades when you have 5 mana. Like I shouldn't overcommit this much, but I guess I will. Do it like that. Just go all face, face, face. Then we're gonna have plenty of other options like Rafam and the curses. The curses here, they're just as window dressing because you can't really. I didn't really commit to it with this, or because you can't use like the null and stuff, so it doesn't work exactly as well with that particular deck. Not that that has to do directly with curses, but you can still use Anatheron, obviously, or can you? I forget now even if it's even a neutral card or not. But even if it was a neutral card, it wouldn't be very good for most other people. So I almost shouldn't do the other Bloodhound one. I should just keep going phase. It resummons when triggered, so I almost shouldn't even worry about it. I mean, you can just afford to go phase. Let's do that one instead. I'm a 3/4 spider with stealth. So I shouldn't flood the whole board, but you know what? I can afford to flood the board, because then I can get rid of the portal next turn. I never understood what that means. We don't have any ink? Oh, like he's trying to get you to sign something, so you have to use your blood to do it, I guess?
I never lie, but I never tell the truth.
That's how you know you're signing a deal with the devil, like the guy in Rosemary's Baby who lets the devil get his wife pregnant somehow. I don't know how that deal was struck. He moves into a new house. He's just a regular guy. And somehow the devil gets to him and convinces him to do that. I guess they made a TV show of that too. Like they're making TV shows of every subject matter now. The 4 health. After you play a secret, discover a secret from a different class. Okay, dude. Give it to the M-Gang boss, but he's already a high enough priority target as it is. This is health and attack to 1. I just have too much stuff on the board, so you really can't do anything. Yeah. Very impressive, isn't it? But wait, why is it acting like... Oh, never mind. Oh, you can't see the raid encounter going on there. I feel like they kind of ruined some of the mystique of the old gods. Like, at least you had to wait several expansions to do it, but... Like, even Cthulhu was mysterious and stuff. It's, like, sort of in the background. But then they made probably too many events in the lore. And I say probably because I haven't even really kept up with it since, like, I stopped playing, which was just the end of Wrath. But basically, they probably attributed too many things to the old gods. Like, anytime anybody does something bad, it couldn't just be, oh, they're just a bad person, or, you know, people do that. That's just human nature, or orc nature, or whatever. No, they were corrupted by the old gods, and this and that. Like, it can be just a plot device and an excuse more than an actual natural occurrence in the world. Like how they say with Sargeras, like, oh, he was tainted by the Dreadlords, and there were, like, 2 different interpretations, and they either got fused, or you can kind of use them interchangeably. For example... Yeah, N'Zoth made Sylvanas go all crazy in BFA.
I see the machinations of your god.
Upgraded by 2 when traded. I typically would just play that like normal. That actually wouldn't be a bad way to play it. We don't have Galakron in here though, as much as the meme, just because of imp relationship. Not because it was actually good in any way. 2 1/1s. Okay. This would almost be like Karnas's Brood, but you can't even use that probably because it's an anti-fun game where even when they have a good mode that I love the concept of it, you're not able to... Is that really a good card though? You could just have those in your deck in the first place. Such infinite value, really amazing. Even that's worth it to me, I guess. A deck that people insisted wasn't that good to now a deck that I almost feel bad for using. Just the same, sort of the same imp stuff, but it was literally just like a deck recipe. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just use this and get to Legend real quick. And it actually pretty much happened. For my first time trying to play for that in literally years. And actually my only time, because I haven't done anything like that since. I almost attempted to do it in this twist format, but it wouldn't have to be this month, just in general. I'll do it at some point. Summon the imps, and this would become very strong. In fact, it kind of trades in perfectly to this gorilla whose mere existence I'm mocking the whole time. So we might actually be inclined to coin that out. That was such a hilarious run that shows you how easy it is. Like, I'm even mocking the idea. I'm not saying, oh, I'm so good and I deserve credit for it. Although arguably, and from a certain point of view, as much as people make fun of all the other weird decks and gimmicks I do. But it's like, you're going in and you don't even know what you're doing. You don't know what the meta is. You don't know what you're using. You're just picking a deck at random and just going with it. I don't even know the names of half the cards in the deck that I'm using and stuff like that. Like Theotar and stuff. I don't even know if he was in that one, but... You're just doing it kind of off the seat of your pants, but it still works somehow. This is a little bit tricky. We're going to 2-1 bat, rush. After you cast a spell, so I'm going to 1-1 with rush. Nothing they're doing really puts too much fear in my heart, though, because it seems pretty much low long-term value. Tradable. I'll be dealing with those in Classic WoW pretty soon because I'm in the Barons now. I actually did just kill some already, but they weren't like the pack leaders ones. I mean, maybe I was mocking this guy's deck unjustifiably, but that guy's a big problem. In fact, I should just Siphon Soul. Forget about Reform. Somehow I'll just do this. He's causing me way too much trouble. Now I could do Reform, or I could do the Dreadlich first. I never really liked this card because you almost deck yourself out, but it sort of works within the context of what you're trying to do with this deck. Even this you would classify, oh, it's an aggro deck, but it's not because it has too much good mid-range value. So like, oh, that's a mid-range finisher on turn 6. You flood the board so hard that they can't do anything about it. Losing to a random Silverback Patriarch. Amazing. I mean, I'll do this because I don't think he'll be able to kill me, and I'll just buff something like crazy. I doubt he'll have a way to actually do anything. Even it takes those dinky 1/1s. Like, I didn't put any work into it to make that happen. Like, to actually summon good imps or this or that. So hopefully you can't clear this. I don't know how you would. A defensive Reform play, of course. Turn the tides. That's garbage. That's garbage, but I guess I'm underestimating the value of that card. Because the card... Oh, God. That is actually pretty good. Immune while attacking. He's not really use that to his benefit, like trying to trade and stuff. I almost have to do the Dreadlich just to I should trade everything in besides these two and then do the Dreadlich so they'll survive. Or even that's very interesting. I can easily clear his board, like it's not even a question.
The top shelf is
Like, what a stupid thing for him to... I could almost just kill him. 5, 10, 15, 24. It's unfortunate, though, because... it's still going to put me kind of at risk. Now, you're in a position where basically you have to do Tamsin defensively and it'll clear a lot of stuff from my board, but then again, if he doesn't kill me or deal with my board right now, he's dead too. But why would you just leave that around? Like, what do you think is going to happen with that? Just kill command me? Okay. Yeah, you should know that just based on lore power scaling. Like, there was no way Sylvanas could ever beat N'Zoth one-on-one. Sylvanas couldn't even beat the Lich King one-on-one when it was the true Lich King. They have that stupid cutscene for Shadowlands, but it's like, where she's kicking Bolvar's ass or whatever. But no, she was all sad, like, oh, boo-hoo, the Lich King got killed without me there. I wasn't a part of it. So she jumps off of the Frozen Throne and tries to kill herself. Like, that's such a... because that's all she wanted in her life and this and that. You can't just be happy that he's finally dead. Or it's like a form of satisfaction too. Like, now that I know he's dead, then I don't have anything to live for anymore. If she actually died. Like, name the more bittersweet moment when Barbossa becomes whatever, like, he can feel pain again. He becomes human again at the end of the original Pirates of the Caribbean, only to die immediately. But then they bring him back in the sequels and kind of ruin it. Otherwise, that would have been an iconic moment like that.
all eyes shall be.
So we have the portal. I don't have to worry about anything else there. I think that at least proved my postulate with card games. Like, the deck is 95% of it. You don't have to know what you're doing. You don't have to have played the game in years. You don't have to know the current meta. You don't have to be good. You don't have to do anything. Just use the best deck and you'll get to max rank, legend, whatever, and that's it. Only way you could discredit it is say, oh, well, then try to get to legend rank 1. but that would just be a matter of repetition. So that at least proved it there. I'm trying to prove sort of something similar in chess, like, oh, you know, you can just start playing for the first time and you should already be 1500 on chess.com or 1500 FIDE. But apparently, I can't seem to do it. I still believe that, but you have to really use this thing called your brain, which I apparently don't have. I'm kind of obsessed with it now because I just want to get to a certain point, but it's way too time consuming. Draw 4 cards in one turn, final showdown. This is not a very good start. In fact, it almost would be worth it to do that. Just as a 2-mana 3/2 is still okay value. That's going to keep scaring you every turn like it actually matters, but just when they simply draw their card at the beginning. So they're not using the same thing I was using, at least. Which seemed to be pretty good, but I obviously didn't get far enough to really know for sure. Opponent has 2 fewer. Oh, wow. It's a heck of a time to do it. I won't even be able to play my portal, so I'm glad I actually did that. So if it didn't summon the 3/2, then even next turn would be a waste of a turn. Wow. So now this still needs more stuff for the infuse. Like, this deck should still be pretty good, right? It's not like it's that old. This is from Nathria. September, it was really good. Probably even a little bit after that. The only expansion in between has been the Lich King one, which wasn't, or I mean Festival of Legends too. I almost just forget because it's such a stupid premise. But yeah, it's only 2 expansions away, so it would still be good in some ways. Especially when you have to fall back on class cards anyway. This is one of the best class cards in the whole game because it's just such a busted effect in and of itself, even as insular and specific as it is. It never got nerfed. Can you believe that? After all that stuff people went through with it, complaining about it, that deck was so overused for a little bit maybe. Although when I was using it, nobody actually was, so maybe I was ahead of the curve or something. But it was just a busted effect. I don't know how that happened. It was just a very improbable experience, almost impossible. Just like it was meant to be. Okay, this you still can't even do. This wouldn't be worth it to do, I guess. They're pretty short on cards, though. At the start of your turn, draw a card reduce the cost by 1, but how's he going to draw 4 together is the question. You'd think you'd be holding some of this stuff back just so you can do it. Reduce the cost of the cards drawn by 1. This kind of has the best of both worlds too, because you have so much flooding of the board capability that it's going to be aggro, but it's going to hold up in the mid game at least. It won't hold up in the late game like really strong control stuff, but you don't really want to get to that point anyway, and that's why I had like Denathrius in there. So it was the perfect answer. Like, you swarm the board early and you'll beat most people by aggro. Then if they survive into the mid range, then you have Rafam to flood the board again after all the removal is gone, and then if they still survive that and they're a control deck, then you'll beat them with Denathrius because you've had like a million things die, right? All the imps die, and that'll work towards it. And so many people told me not to use Denathrius back then, right? Like in September, and it was so beautiful because we beat so many priests and so many other classes that we would have had no chance of doing. My board was burnt out, my deck was burnt out, my hand was burnt out, everything was over, but Denathrius would save me, or at least he would heal me for so much that I would last a little bit longer and maybe make a comeback in certain unfavorable matchups. Now that was a heck of a turn, but if I can just survive, I'll be fine. Which may be difficult. You have a 1... He would hit me for 7, 14, 20, 22, 23. I guess I could just... The real point in doing this would be... you're sort of setting up for a Defile play. You could just trade in, or even if he trades in with the 7/7. So I wonder if he's going to play around Defile by killing it with the other ones. Then I can't do anything to the 7/7s, and then I just lose. But if he trades in, then we'll have like a 3. We have a. We can make a 1, 2, 3, 4, but there'll still be some things I can't deal with. Or I could do this, but it won't be enough. It's very unlikely that you could deal with this, but mathematically you could come up with something. You're going to have 1, so you need a 2 health minion. More than likely it could be this, right? You hit one of these, it becomes a 2 health minion. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 if you just trade into that. That should be all you need, right? You have 1, 2, 3, but you won't have 3 because and I obviously can't do that. Wait, I messed it up, I think. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, but then you won't have that. If I hit into it, then you won't have a 3. Ah, there probably was a way to do it too. Damn. There must have been some math there. And of course, they probably still would have been able to kill me even if I did that. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. I don't like how he says that. That's too kind of snarky and happy. He doesn't need to be showing off like that. They're supposed to be in the background and like low-key beings that have tremendous power, but they have no need to prove themselves. But I guess once you finally find them, like Yogg was so happy to see you. He's laughing his ass off the whole fight and just going on rants and stuff. Like, if you listen to Yogg's boss quotes, they're actually so hilarious. And then he knows what's going to happen with Algalon, so his final line in passing was kind of ominous, like, it's over for you and this miserable little seedling. Like, he's laughing at you, and the players would be like, I don't know what that means, but obviously, because they added Algalon later too, right? Or nobody knew how to do it at the time. All right, see you tomorrow. Or we'll probably see an Algalon card just based on Titan. So what card was I disappointed that they didn't do in like the Frozen Throne? They didn't do Falric or Marwyn, right? So even between 2 Lich King related expansions, they don't have his right and left hand right next to him when he goes to kill his father as cards. And they could have those badass lines like the children of Stratholme fought with more ferocity. That's one of my favorite lines, as you can see even on this art right here.